All right, we're gonna start with an easy question just to get to know you a little bit. So can you give me your elevator pitch about your business?
Sure. So we are owners and operators of what they call direct current fast charging EV stations. So that's just a very fancy name for superchargers. So we built out last year in Oklahoma what is the first comprehensive statewide network in the country. So that effectively means every 50 miles in Oklahoma now has a supercharger. That places Oklahoma free nationally in terms of superchargers installed. And it's the third largest network in the country.
That's quite
So, yeah. So that's our business. We also, came from the solar side. And still continue to do solar, but not part of our kind of supercharging kind of platform. It's become a very small part of our business, but it still certainly is part of our DNA.
well. I'll talk a little bit more about the chargers. That's always fascinating. I don't own an electric car myself, but range anxiety is a real issue. Would you say that you've kind of probably alleviated some of that here in Oklahoma?
Yeah. So, like any good kind of entrepreneur business, you always look for kind of problems in the market. And the immediate problem that we saw in the electric vehicle market was the lack of infrastructure. So there's quite literally $500 billion going into EV technology, meaning the batteries in the cars and the cars themselves. Very little of that is going towards infrastructure. So you have Tesla, which we kind of equate to, it's a good analogy, to kind of the Apple. They're all closed source. So only Tesla drivers can use the Tesla superchargers. So that was kind of a huge problem in the market because we know there's literally going to be hundreds of car manufacturers in the next 5-10 years coming out with electric vehicles, and they would not be able to use the Tesla superchargers. So we solved that problem. We developed and installed universal chargers. So any car in the world can use them, including Tesla drivers. And we solved the range anxiety issue, meaning no one's going to buy a car if there's no infrastructure to fuel them, if they're away from their home. So we solved it in Oklahoma, range anxiety. Every 50 miles there's a charger, so no one's going to be stuck on the roads. Now we're trying to expand into literally 30 states as we speak, just to build the network out from Oklahoma.
So I kind of want to know a little bit more about like the stops. Are they kind of like gas station type stops, or are you partnering with like attractions? What's sort of the strategy for placement?
So, really they can go anywhere. So it's really anyone with a parking lot can be a host of a charger. There's different speeds, kind of rates of electrification with these chargers. So there's some chargers that can charge in 60 minutes. So, those are perfectly applicable to a lot of like small towns. We've done a lot of rural development, and we've basically said, we'll bring a charger here, pay for everything, and it's going to cause basically drivers that have been stuck on the highways at the travel stops, at the gas stations, they're going to have to come into your town to charge. And by the way, they're going to be captive there for about 60 minutes. Whereas when we go to the travel stops on the highways, no one wants to wait 60 minutes to charge their car. So that's where we've put in super duper chargers. We got to call them something at some point. They can charge cars in 7 to 9 or 10 minutes. So that's very much equivalent to, current kind of gas stations. But the interesting thing about this market, it's not going to develop the same way gas stations developed. because quite simply, you don't need as many out there as you do gas pumps, because people can charge their car at home, typically at night, which is where about 90% of the charging is going to take place. So this public infrastructure is really meant for people that are away from home, driving cross country, or they're just out and about and there's a charger available. Let's say they're about to go into a grocery store and there's a charger there that can charge cars in 40 minutes. So we have a lot of those. They're probably going to charge, whether they absolutely critically need to or not. So it's the mostly the public infrastructure is not going to look the same as what the gas dispensing infrastructure looks like. Really, they're going to be ubiquitous. They're going to be everywhere and anywhere. So when you're at the office or you're at the grocery store or you're eating a meal, the intent is there'll be a charger somewhere that you can plug into.
That's
but it won't be there won't be like 6 chargers on one corner and 6 chargers on another corner like you see in the gas space. And there's a variety of reasons for that. It's just not the way the market's gonna develop.
That's going to be certainly helpful getting around and just taking road trips. I want to rewind just a little bit. And you mentioned this is kind of a more of a sort of grew out from a solar business. I'd like to learn a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we're quite young. So we started in 2015. So we're only about 5 years old, and we started really trying to develop solar in Oklahoma. Not just the big utility scale farms, but commercial rooftops and residential rooftops. And what we discovered is the market in Oklahoma is very tough, and it's not so much the political headwinds, and there was plenty of that in 2015, 2016, and on. It's mostly a function of our electricity prices, which are so low that it's very difficult, even with solar costs coming down significantly as they have been over the last 10 years, still very hard for them to pencil out. So it's kind of a function of the market we're in. So we kind of decided to go down to Texas to do a bunch of this residential work. And we did that for about 2 years. And in fact, we're involved with a major, the largest eco community in the country that is being built north of Austin. And all the homes are what they call net zero capable. They won't say they're totally net zero, but net zero capable, meaning they have geothermal, they have solar, high efficiency appliances, blah, blah, blah. We were awarded the contract to do solar on all 7,500 homes.
Wow.
So it was, huge deal. The problem is they didn't sell, the developers weren't able to sell enough homes. So it was very difficult to kind of, from a volume perspective, to kind of do all of it. They're only, I think 3 years in, they've only built 300 homes. And they were supposed to be at 2,500 by now. So anyway, long story short, we started noticing that a lot of our customers down there were buying Teslas. This was about in 2018. No way to charge them even at home. So we kind of got into the electric vehicle space by partnering with Tesla and installing these home residential Tesla systems. And so that was kind of our introduction into the EV market. And that's when we started kind of spending a lot of time trying to understand where the market's going and the timeline. And that's when we kind of thought, hey man, this is a market that's coming in a very significant way, and no one is focused on the infrastructure. So that gave us a nice path to kind of come in, and in very short order, I mean, we're the 3rd largest network in the country. And we did that in about a year. So anyway, it was kind of a business decision. Hey, there's a huge opportunity here. We think it's a better opportunity in the short term than solar, and we just ran with it. And that's kind of where we are today.
Well, let's talk a little bit about green energy. Like, why are you so attracted to it? What are some of the benefits that you see
with green energy? I mean,
yeah.
Besides, the climate benefits to electric vehicles, and they're myriad, there also are some problems, to mine the rare earth materials for the batteries, as an example, is not a clean process. But on balance, environmentally, it's literally the best thing you can do, because transportation adds, I don't know what the number is, but 30 to 40% of all CO2 emissions comes from transportation. It actually might be higher. So this in one fell swoop is going to solve a lot of these climate kind of change issues. But from more from a business perspective, we know that electric vehicles are the future, at least in the next 20 years, the future of transportation. And there's no other technology that's going to leapfrog it in the next 20 years. And we know that the continued kind of development of combustion and engine vehicles is going away. I mean, the largest manufacturer of these engines, Continental AG, or one of them in Germany, just said we're no longer doing combustible engines. Just tells you kind of where this is going. And it's a better product. So it's faster, it's cheaper to operate.
Yeah, you don't have to do the oil changes. Yeah.
And the cost to fuel it is so significantly less than gasoline that it's going to be a very quick transformation. I think it's going to be like the flip phone to the smartphone. It's going to happen pretty quickly. And so from a business perspective, it's like, this is awesome. We're in a market that's about to take off. It's very nascent. I mean, what we're doing, obviously we're the third largest in the country and we're very small. So not a lot of people are doing this yet, but they will be. But it's just where the future is going for transportation. It's just as simple as that.
Personally, I'm looking forward to making my next car an electric car, but I assume you have an electric car already yourself, correct?
Yes. Well, okay. So the business, we own a bunch of electric cars. I myself am waiting because I don't want to get a Tesla because we're kind of not the anti-Tesla, but we're the rest of world cars, not just Teslas. So I've been waiting for a long range 300+ mile one that's like not $100,000.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen in 2021. And also the Ford F-150 all electric is coming out in 2021. And that's going to be a pretty big pivot, I think, for Oklahoma, because I think a lot of people are going to buy those cars over the next couple of years. So anyway, that's the long answer to, do I have an electric car? No, not personally, but our business has a bunch of them.
Yeah, personally, I'm really interested in VW's electric van that they're going to be doing kind of a homage to some of their older ones, but make it more modern and electric. And that one's really caught my eye. There's a couple others, but yeah, I'm also kind of in the same boat, waiting for it to come down a little bit more on the range, because I do like to do road trips myself. But your charging network certainly going to help, especially some of the more remote areas I'd like to visit. My wife and I love to visit, like the Talamina Scenic Byway. Have you been there?
I don't know if I've been there, but I know of it. And I think we have a charger somewhere close by.
Oh, good to know.
I'm not mistaken. Yeah, don't quote me on that one.
Yeah.
But,
if you don't have one, I recommend getting one out there because it's a gorgeous drive. I'd like to be able to take my electric car down there in the future.
No, totally. I mean, I know we have chargers in the vicinity, whether it's right on the drive. I don't know.
No.
But yeah.
What would you like people to know about your business that they may be surprised to learn about?
I think people are surprised that, a startup in Oklahoma was able to install literally 225 superchargers across Oklahoma. That's never been done before. Our largest competitors, are definitely not doing 250 charging stations a year. We're just one data point, but Oklahoma really has, and I preach this to everyone that will listen, we have this unique kind of ability or position where we could be the EV capital of the world, both in terms of the technology. So there's a lot of technology in these chargers. It's mostly software-based technology. We have the manufacturing capabilities to do it here. We have cheap electricity, cheap land. We weren't able to get Tesla, but there's a whole host of other companies besides Tesla that are, looking particularly for a state that already has a network, because it's easier to sell cars into that state. Mm-hmm. So we're talking to a bunch of manufacturers to set up some manufacturing here, whether it be, kind of assembling it or fabricating it or testing it or commissioning it or whatever. All that needs to be done in the supply chain, and why not do it in Oklahoma? Particularly with our kind of platform to build this out in the heartland. Our biggest competitors aren't really focused on the heartland. They're focused on California, New York, and Texas. These kind of smaller states, they're not really focused on. So, there's a unique ability for an Oklahoma company to go build out what will be the largest EV network in the country, which I think is pretty cool. So anyway.
Oh, that's great. You sort of touched upon this, but I kind of wanted to sort of get a little bit different wording. But what's the best part you find about being a business here in Oklahoma?
I would say the well, there's a lot of things. One is, I think we have a good labor force. It's not perfect, but it's better, I think, than some other states, particularly when you talk about the trades, electrical, civil, engineering. Oklahoma is very, very good at that. And that's in part kind of why we were able to build out so many stations in Oklahoma in a 12-month period, is because of that network of great trades that are here in Oklahoma. I would say kind of ease of transactions, pretty easy to get permitting, pretty easy to kind of develop projects, which other states, California is an example, it could take you a year to get a permit back from, some regulatory agency. So we're fortunate in Oklahoma, we didn't have those impediments, so we were able to kind of build it out very quickly. I think there's a great entrepreneurial community here. It's got a long way to go. We're not Austin, we're not Nashville. But the potential is there. And I think, as more and more entrepreneurs come into this market and realize the benefit of Oklahoma, we have the potential to really create this, entrepreneurial community, which, doesn't exist in a lot of states. Yeah, I would say, those are three pretty good ones.
Yeah, no, potential of Oklahoma from people that I've interviewed is really a common theme I've learned about. So it's always nice to hear that. There's a lot of potential here in Oklahoma. It's very moldable in some aspects, and it can be quite easy to get things done around here too.
Yeah, it really can. It's true.
I guess before we kind of wrap this up, is there anything else you wish to share with the people? Anything else you'd like to kind of maybe give a hint or teaser about your presentation?
Well, I mean, so we're rolling out an app. So similar to our competitors, they have an app, and you can use the app to initiate the charge or get a discount on charges or do whatever. We are rolling that out because we want to make it very easy for somebody that buys an electric car in Oklahoma. You download the app, and now you have access to 225 superchargers in the state. So that's pretty exciting. We're working on that and the marketing associated with that, trying to get the word out that, hey, it's okay to buy an electric car now in Oklahoma because you're not going to have range anxiety. So we're kind of working on the user interface and how we engage with the driver. We have all these cool ideas for in some of our rural chargers where, let's say someone's charging late at night and they don't want to get out and walk across a highway to go to a quick trip, as an example. Just, you can stay in your car. We'll send you a free hotspot. And you can use kind of the wireless while you're charging your car. And that enables a lot of things. One is all of our stations are separately addressed. So if you want to sit in your car and order groceries to your car, it will come to your car. It's not going to the front door of the Walmart and you have to wait there for somebody to deliver it. It's literally going to come to that charging station. There's so many cool things that we can do with the software that's in the chargers themselves to kind of create this great user experience. So we're working on it. It's not there yet. It's not perfected yet. And so, some of our concern is we have drivers that are out there that are using our stations that might not be having the best experience. And we kind of want to let people know, hey, this is new, this is novel. We're working on the bugs, we're working on the kinks, but it's going to be great. Just stay patient with us. And then here's what we're doing to help the user experience. That's just stuff we're working on that I can certainly talk about during our session.
No, that's really exciting. I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to ask you about your future plans that you would be open to sharing.
Totally.
I kind of want to get like a quote from you while I'm thinking about it. Because it's more of I don't know if you know off the top of the hand if you need a map or something, but is there like some specific examples of like road trips that you are aware of that people could take in Oklahoma? Like Route 66 or something that you like to point out or highlight?
Totally. So we have chargers on Route 66. We would love to turn Route 66 into an EV highway. We've been talking with like the Oklahoma Chamber and all kinds of cool things. But in Oklahoma, you can go to I think from Broken Bow to Guyman, and you'll have access to a charger. You might have to drive 10, 20 miles out of the way to access it, because we just simply don't have enough in Oklahoma yet. This is really kind of the first phase of building out the network. But anyone can drive anywhere in Oklahoma now, and you'll never be stuck on the side of the road.
Nice. Kind of clarification. What do you mean by turn Route 66 into an EV highway? What would that entail exactly?
I mean, it would be putting superchargers every 40, 50 miles on Route 66, not just Oklahoma. I mean, going all the way up and all the way down through, New Mexico into Arizona, and then hopefully California.
Okay. Yeah, that would be quite the feat, pulling that off from the entire length of it.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal, but we got to start in Oklahoma. That's where we are.
Yeah. So is it mostly complete in Oklahoma then? It is. Oh, for Route 66 in Oklahoma.
No, it is not complete. I can send you some data, I think, on how many chargers we have along Route 66 or adjacent to it.
Okay.
But it's certainly not comprehensive. Definitely not.
I mean, like I said, if you have one roughly every 50 miles or something here in Oklahoma, it certainly gets you enough around.
Yeah, and we're continuing. So this year we're building out 100 more stations, but they might not be totally unique stations. We might be upgrading a bunch of existing stations. And we'll continue to do that over the next couple of years until Oklahoma has, you know, basically can take care of every car on the road that it needs to.
Nice.
And that's certainly the case today, but as people start buying EVs in the next couple of years, that's not going to be the case. So we're trying to get in front of that and build it out before that happens.
Well, that's a great strategy to
might be stupid, I don't know, but that's our strategy, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, well, is there anything else you'd like to say before I wrap things up? Well, thank you again. I'm going to let you get back to your day. I appreciate you taking time to chat with me.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis.
Thank
Talk to you
you.
soon.
Bye-bye.